Hey everyone, this is Ken from Neon Goldfish. Your website has visitors coming each and every day. A website analytics tool such as Google Analytics provides valuable data about these visitors. Not only valuable data, but lots of it. What do these numbers on your website analytics report mean, and what can you do with this information? In this episode of the Neon Noise podcast, Justin and I discuss your website analytics and some important conversion benchmarks. We touch on the different places your website traffic comes from, along with some general averages for the number of visitors to your website that should be converted into leads, and the number of those leads that should be converted into customers. We also touch on some tools you can reference to help better understand the impact your website traffic and conversion opportunities can have on your revenue. We hope the dive we take into this topic will help you better understand your website analytics reports, your conversion rates, and how you can use these numbers to maximize your bottom line. Enjoy.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Neon Noise podcast. I believe we are, where are we at, Ken? 7 or 8 episodes?
Episode 8.
In
We're on
episode 8. Are we getting better at this, everyone? I hope so.
I think we are. I don't know. I feel like we're settling in a little bit.
Settling in some. Yeah, absolutely. So, we've covered a decent range of topics so far. I think that one of the topics that we have yet to touch on is, your website analytics. It's an important tool to utilize for your website if you're not already doing so, right, Ken?
Oh, absolutely. It's kind of tough to understand a lot of what's going on with your marketing if we don't have the data about the visitors coming to our website.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest issues that majority of the people that I speak to run into is just, they've got this analytics report and they absolutely don't know where to start looking. They've got, listings for all different types of traffic sources and search traffic and referral traffic and direct traffic. And, what do we look at first? How do we look at this report and allow us to, tell us what should I be looking at to focus on that's going to help my business?
Sure. Absolutely. I mean, how can we best use this data and what do these numbers mean really to our business?
Right.
How can we leverage use of these numbers to make educated decisions? And maybe some, we're going to discuss some benchmarking numbers as well during this episode. Yeah. Give everyone, all the listeners, a little insight on maybe some just general average conversion rate numbers, and so they can get a good feel for what their website traffic should equate to in revenue, right?
Yep. Absolutely. So let's chat about just understanding what you should look for when viewing your analytics report, and touch on some different metrics, like you said. How many leads should you be generating from this traffic, and what should convert into customers? Just stuff along those lines. So why don't we go over some of the basic traffic sources on the analytics report and just kind of dive into, I think that the 3 main sources, just touch on direct traffic initially.
Yeah. So direct traffic, because when you open a report, you see, hey, I got these visitors, all these particular sessions from unique visitors. And a lot of times business is going to be using Google Analytics. It's a very popular website analytic platform because it's free and it's tied directly into Google and all their suite of
everything,
delicious nuggets of
who doesn't use the Goobs, right?
So absolutely. And so with that, you pull up let's say Google Analytics report and you look at your traffic sources. Where are all these individuals coming from? So you made mention of direct traffic. Direct traffic would be the visitors you're receiving from your website where they're actually going up into the address bar of their browser. I'm not talking about the Google search bar where you type in keywords, but the address bar at the very top, and they're typing in www.xyzcompany.com.
Yep.
And so and those visits likely come from someone that knows your business, your brand. Maybe they're taking a stab at your name, thinking, well, it has to be neongoldfish.com because that's their company name.
Right.
Or perhaps they've seen some of your marketing that includes your website URL.
Some type of traditional marketing.
Yeah, exactly. A direct mail piece, or maybe they are driving around with pen and paper in their hand and taking notes from the billboards, right?
From the billboards.
Or the TV commercial. Let's open the TV commercials or the radio commercial that you're running, that you're including that and driving traffic from that short-lived advertisement to a place they can learn more about your company. But that's where that direct traffic comes from. And so you can really get a good understanding about who's coming in from that. And that'll give you, I see brands, companies that do more traditional advertising, they get more direct traffic because of this very reason.
Right.
Absolutely.
What about like nurturing campaigns and email campaigns along those lines? It's also a good indicator that if you see that number spiked a little bit, it could be coming from, your nurturing campaigns.
Sure, absolutely. It depends on how you have your analytics properly set up and everything else of that nature. Hopefully the nurturing campaigns will give you some additional insight in the metrics that you can find there. But that definitely will make some spikes happen within your analytics as well. Another source of traffic is one that oftentimes is the largest, and it's organic. Organic traffic is the traffic you receive from the pages that are indexed within Google. So Google's broken down, a search page or a search results page is broken down into a couple different sections. You have the top section now in the newly redesigned Google search results page, where it's the advertisements or their paid search is at the very top, and we'll touch on that in a second. In the middle, you have their local search with the map and the listings of typically 3 now results. And then below that, we have the organic results, and these are the pages that Google's indexed, and they're serving up to a Google user that typed in a keyword
in order to get to you.
Yep, they're trying to find something, and Google determined that there are these results available on the interwebs that are best to match the keyword that you just typed in. So the traffic that you get from that you see in your organic report is coming from those Google searches. Another type of traffic that you'll see on your analytics report is referral traffic, and it is just simply the way it sounds. It's traffic that's being referred to your website from third-party websites. So things that stick out to me is like a yellowpages.com or yp.com or maybe Yelp or Angie's Lists. Some of those types of platforms where your website, you have a listing there somehow, somewhere, directory sites that include your website URL, and they're referring. Other instances would be if you have a link on another website of any sort. So it's really any third-party website that contains a link directly to
you could be
your
creating
website.
rock star content someplace that everybody is giving you a ton of backlinks for.
That's it. So that remarkable content that we talked about in episode 7, that will drive the referral traffic.
Yep.
And then the last item, and I'm speaking of the main 4 that are found on Google Analytics. So if you're using a different analytics platform, and based on the way you have things configured, but the last one on a standard Google Analytics report is going to be social, and that's going to be any traffic that's driven from Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, any of the social platforms that you are using to advertise and promote your business.
Right.
Now, I made mention of paid search or Google AdWords, or the Bing's got their platform and everything else of that nature. The use of those platforms you can configure your Google Analytics if you're using paid search campaigns, and you're going to want to set up so you realize the traffic you're getting from those paid search campaigns and actually setting up some conversion goals and things along those lines. But if you're using a paid search campaign, that will show up as a separate line item here under your sources of traffic in the analytics report. And so those are the general 4/5 areas that you're going to very high level understanding of, hey, where's my traffic coming from? But the one thing that I think we should make mention of, Justin, is bot traffic, right?
Yeah, it's good old bot traffic.
And so bot traffic is annoying. There's good bots out there and there's bad bots out there. And so the good bots typically don't register in Google Analytics, but the bad bots do, and they can actually drastically curve, sway the metrics we look at. And so basically Google Analytics is supposed to be set up to where bots or automatic scripts that are written by people that have nothing better to do than annoy us.
That's about all that it is. I think I can recall one of our clients coming to us a couple months ago, and they had a spike in their traffic that was about 2 or 3 days, and it pretty much like doubled and tripled the traffic that they had been getting on a regular basis. And it was more or less hey, what the heck is going on here? What did we do during the 14th, 15th, and 16th of last month to triple our traffic last month? And, ultimately we just determined that obviously it was nothing different with the campaigns that we were running, but, it was bot traffic, and it's a big problem for some people if they don't know what they're looking for.
Yeah. And a lot of times you see those spikes, and your average time on the website will drop drastically.
Nothing. Right.
And your bounce rate goes
up through the ceiling.
Absolutely. So there are some ways in which Google Analytics, and you can set some filters to eliminate or reduce this bot traffic, so you're able to get a clear understanding of the numbers that are actually live humans and not scripts written by internet folks from various countries trying to do whatever it is.
Don't say it. Come on.
So
you wanted to go there.
Oh, I will go there.
No,
I think
you don't need to go there.
No. The one that I kept seeing recently. I mean, so in light of the recent election, it's all traffic from Russia, and it's goofy because it spikes the referral portion of the analytics report. And it's funny because it's plugging in some URLs, and it says vote for Trump right at the end of the URL. So I got a call from one of our clients, and they're like, I don't know what this is, but I'm
sure what that's about
on our website. And I was like, I assure you, this is not on your website. And,
call Putin.
Right. Exactly. So, but those are some of the different areas or sources of your website traffic. And so now that we kind of looked at that, and there's so much more that we can explore and dive into with Google Analytics, and that's not, we're touching on, the math behind your website traffic. We want to get into some of the numbers, and so considering that and going forward with this conversation, we're going to assume that our traffic and our numbers are non-bot traffic, that it's all legitimate site visitors, right?
Yep.
So what are, I guess, what percentage of website traffic
should be
that's coming in? What should that could be converting into leads, Justin?
Yeah, I would say that majority of the websites that we look at, more of the small to medium sized business sites, are experiencing anywhere from a 2 to 4% conversion rate for their leads. And, obviously, this is going to depend a lot on, the lead capture opportunities that the website has. But, typically most of, if somebody's coming to us, they're going to come to us and say, hey, can you take a peek at my website, and, how many leads should I be getting? Stuff along those lines. Most of these sites have, they've got a free consult form or, a contact form or something along those lines.
Bottom of the funnel type.
Bottom of the funnel stuff that really, unless I'm willing to, unless I want to talk to you today, it's just not something that majority of people are going to fill out. So it really depends on obviously the amount of different ways to capture information from those visitors. that you have in order to give you an accurate number. But 2 to 4% is pretty accurate. I spoke with a prospective client not too long ago. He didn't have any idea how many leads that he should be getting. However, he's got a smaller business. He was doing, I think, around like 3,000 or 3,500 leads, or 3,000 or 3,500 leads, 3,000 or 3,500 visitors. 3,000 leads would be amazing, by the way.
Absolutely.
So he was doing around 3,000 to 3,500 visitors on a monthly basis, and they were getting around what he thought was 70 to 80 leads each month, which, you can do the math and figure out what are his percentages, and he's right in line with where he should have been at. So,
sure.
What that told me, just by basically looking at his report, was that I went back and I looked at his website. He had a extremely low bounce rate. I mean, it was 2%, something ridiculous. So people
touch on real quick though, Justin. Touch on real quick. What is, because I get this question all the time, and you just mentioned bounce rate being extremely low.
Yep.
And I think that there's lots of things out there that can be Googled. What do you think is, obviously the lower the better with bounce rate, but what do we normally see?
The lower the better, obviously. Again, I mean, that's all over the board too, kind of. I would say probably on average, a good bounce rate would be, 30 to 40%.
Yeah, I would agree.
I mean, you're going to, and what that is, when somebody comes to your website and they don't advance to another page, a secondary page on your site, and they basically leave, that's your bounce rate. So what he was experiencing was basically, 98% of the people that were coming to his website were sticking around. So he had interesting content. He had engaging content. He had stuff that was there that they wanted to look at, but he just wasn't getting the conversions that we thought that, he was capable of doing.
Sure. So even at 3%, we saw areas where he can improve. And
drastically.
So it also, I mean, 2 to 4% is going to depend on industries.
Sure.
Into as well.
Yeah.
You could definitely be higher.
Right.
So, but no, that's good. That's a good number just to judge.
But yeah, so
gauge everything.
Right. So we're looking at that his bounce rate was relatively low. What could we do? He's got a lot of opportunity there, basically, is what we were looking at, to increase the number of leads with just, some simple tweaks that he could make to his website. I mean, if we could take, that 3% and, get him up to even, 5 to 6% by making some minor modifications in order for him to be able to capture more information from people and be generating, 150 leads a month. What is that going to do for his business? I mean, that's
Sure.
huge. So, just, a lot of opportunity there when, looking at, just small tweaks that you could be making in order to, help those conversion rates increase.
Yeah, and another thing that to make mention of is lead quality as well, because all the leads that are coming in, the number of leads. You didn't make mention of this. I don't know the background of this story, but as much as you do. But the number of leads that he's getting 70, 80 leads through the site, and we'll get into close rates here in a second. How many of those are coming through? So even if we were to take that lead and get an increased number or a more quality, that same number of leads, a more quality lead,
yeah,
that's going to lead to the ultimate goal of or more customers, right?
Correct.
All right, cool. So all right, in this instance, you already talked about what could they do. You already talked about some of the things that they had a lot of good traffic and everything else of that nature coming in to the site. What are some of the things that specifically they could do to help increase that conversion rate? Yeah,
so I think that's pretty. It was pretty easy to identify those. I mean, he had, for instance, with their site, they had multiple locations, and they were blogging. The frequency was relatively low. So if I'm coming to their site, and obviously, his bounce rate's relatively low, so people are advancing to additional pages throughout his site. However, there was no way to capture any of that information. So my suggestion for them, start creating some educational information for these visitors, and turn that into, some type of a resource guide, a how-to, any kind of educational white paper, do a comparison, sheet that is going to provide value to your visitors. And you need to be able to, get these people into your marketing funnel somehow. So, create these documents, give these folks value, and then, start plugging this information throughout your website. Whereas like right now, when I go to my website, when I go to his website, he's only got he's got a contact page or, a schedule a consult page, stuff along those lines. Well, if we've got call to actions for these resource guides and these how-to guides and white papers, stuff along those lines where, we've got the information on its blog and maybe we put a, 2 or 3, of these items, have this accessible off of the index page, just where if I'm going through and I'm looking at something and I've got some, questions or anything, but maybe I don't want to pick up the phone and call, I've got the ability to download this information and, maybe all I have to do is give them my name, my email address, something along those lines. It's relatively simple. And then guess what? You've got that information, you've got them in your marketing funnel, and you can start nurturing that person. Maybe they're not a sales qualified lead today, but if I'm reaching out to that individual, 5, 6, 7 times over the next, 30 to 60 days. And, when they are ready to buy, they're going to turn into that sales qualified lead.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now you mentioned them coming into and the funnels, and we're talking about increasing the number of leads, and we're having leads go from bottom of funnel opportunities. Contact us today, schedule a consultation.
Right.
Now we're positioning middle of funnel, top of funnel opportunities. And these are also leads, but they're maybe marketing qualified leads, not quite sales qualified leads that need to be nurtured into that point. What percent of the leads coming to a website would you say? So we went from traffic. What percentage of traffic should convert to leads? We're at 2 to 4% there. What percentage of the leads now that we have should we be able to convert into customers?
Okay, so they were doing, around, I think, 15. They were probably doing around like 15% for everybody that was coming in. So, and I think that's you see that 1 to 2, the 10 to 20% is probably relatively common once they're, once they're into the system, and, those people with his situation were more of a bottom of funnel offer as opposed to a top of funnel offer. So, in their instance, I would say that, if you could just increase, and you're going to increase that through lead nurturing, obviously, but if you have that, 15 to 20%, I think that's, pretty average across the board.
Yeah, and I would say for benchmarking that's probably about right. I know that some of the resources that we reference talk in the 10 to 20% range, and again, I think that depends on the business itself, where the buying cycles go and the purchasing frequency and everything else of that nature. It's going to depend on a little bit of your sales abilities too,
right?
Or your selling ability. However, it's just some numbers there I think that are helpful to understand. If we start at this much website traffic, when it funnels all the way through from traffic to leads to customers, what could that look like? And those are the metrics on top of the Google Analytics that you should be looking at and tracking for your marketing efforts as well. And I think a lot of times they're sometimes ignored. It's hard to track this information though, isn't it?
There's a lot of information. I mean, when you open up that document, just look at that left-hand panel, and you've got, traffic, you got conversions, you got bounce rate, you got percentage of new sessions, page sessions, click-through rate, session duration, just all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, ultimately, you need to start with traffic. That's number one, right? And then work your way down. But you should have a good understanding of, the amount of, people that should be converting over into a lead based off of, the top level, the traffic number.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In for hypothetical reasons, we look at, let's look at you gave us an example of a prospect you're working at. I think that maybe we just use some round numbers to talk about.
Yep.
Let's just run through. Let's say a website's getting 10,000 visits a month.
Okay.
And it's coming from a variety of different sources based on marketing efforts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And of those 10,000 visits, they're able to convert 2% into leads.
Yep.
A little bit lower on the lower end. So that's 200 leads.
Yep.
If my math isn't horrible.
You got good math today.
I got good math. Great. And so we take that and we have these 200 leads, and some of them are top of funnel, some are middle funnel, bottom funnel. We nurture them, and out at the end of everything comes a 10% close rate. And I'm playing the conservative end of things here.
Super conservative.
That would lead to 20 new customers from 10,000.
Correct.
Site visitors.
We can do that.
Now, depending on what your lifetime value of a customer could be,
sure,
it depends on what you sell and everything else of that nature. That 20 customers could be rockstar fantastic. I mean, I think a lot of businesses that we work with in the B2B sector, they would say, okay, cool, 20 new customers is great. Mm-hmm. And so they look at the math, and there's two ways to go about, because everyone wants more revenue. Everyone wants growth.
Yep.
Not everyone, but majority of the people we talk to. So we run these numbers in this hypothetical situation. Mm-hmm. I like to use that example. They're round numbers and easy to understand and comprehend. We assign that 20 new customers to a particular value based on the lifetime value of a customer. So for, let's say each one of those are worth $1,000 a month. That adds $20,000 of monthly revenue to their bottom line, $240,000 over the course of a year.
Right.
Keep compounding that over and over again. Beautiful.
Good numbers.
They're good numbers depending on particular businesses. And so
right.
They come and they say, great, cool. What can we do to double that number? Where our goal for this upcoming year is to take in, no matter what the website traffic is, no matter we care about the numbers of the number of customers and the amount of revenue.
Yep.
That's what really boils down to. What do we need to do to get 40 new customers per month?
Boost the conversion rates.
Sure, that's one thing. I think that there's a couple different routes. If we had a well-oiled machine, a well-oiled mousetrap where the conversion rates were all in place, then the simple solution is just to find more traffic, right?
Yep.
And so that, I think, is just a conversation to really look at, or a process to kind of maybe run through in your analytics, looking at the numbers, looking at the number of leads that are coming through, looking at the number of close rates. And so once you've
determined all that,
the first step is really, cleaning up whatever it is you can on your website, all the things that you made mention of, Justin, really fine tuning the process, making sure that you have opt-in offers,
sure,
you're capturing information, you are effectively nurturing those leads.
Yep.
Once you nurture those leads, you're entering a sales process that is educational, helpful,
right,
consultative. That'll help with the close rates as well. And then once that system's in place, that machine is working properly, then all we have to do is add more coal to the fire,
right,
and to get the train moving a little faster, right?
Exactly. I think that's one of the things that, I don't, everyone that I talk to, not everyone that I talk to, but majority of people that I talk to, they know how much traffic they're getting. but they don't actually go in and figure out, okay, this is the amount of leads that I'm getting on they're just not tracking that information. So I guess what it boils down to is, just make sure that, you're looking at all these metrics. And then once you have all these metrics in place, it's relatively easy to figure out, okay, if I need to take that number from 20 to 40, then, this is exactly what I need to do in order to do that and not change everything that's in place already. So
sure.
The numbers behind it are actually relatively easy to figure out once you kind of have everything in place and you've got a good understanding of what all those metrics look like.
No, I agree, because I think a lot of times what everyone's focused on adding more traffic, and or in marketing, let's get in front of more people. We need the phones to ring more. We need more website visitors and everything. And that is a very, very important piece of the puzzle. It's the very first step, as we're talking about, but making sure that system is fine tuned.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we do have a tool that we developed on our website. Yeah, it's called a website traffic calculator. And all it really does, it's basically everything we just talked about. There's some fixed values in there for traffic to lead and lead to conversion rate. Actually, I think you can adjust the lead to conversion rate. You can.
Some of our visitors have probably already seen it. I may have emailed it to them already.
There we go. Well, good. So the whole point of this is it gives you an interactive tool that you can play around with in position. If I took my traffic from 5,000 to 10,000 and kept the same conversion rate, given that my average customer is worth X amount of dollars, this is how much revenue would be produced. And I think it's a great tool to kind of get a feel for what would happen to the number we care most about, the revenue number,
right? If
I increase my conversion rate by 2%, or if I increase my traffic by 20%. Just the small impacts there, the small adjustments can have a major impact on that revenue number. Correct. So we'll include a link to the website traffic calculator in our show notes, and go check it out, play with it, use it.
Let us know what you think.
Let us know if you have questions about it. Yeah, for sure. Give us some feedback on it too as well. We'd love to hear. One other resource that we're going to also include is we have an infographic called Understanding Google Analytics, and it'll dive, it's a visual aid that dives into some of the
further than some of the metrics that we didn't really touch on.
Yeah. I think it'd be helpful, just a quick once over, give you a good feel for what you need to be looking at on those analytics reports, and maybe how you can better understand them a little bit.
Right. All right. So that's a wrap for today. I think that we covered everything that we wanted to. Just a little bit of recap on some of the items that we touched on. What you should be looking at on your Google Analytics report, just the key points and areas that are going to obviously help you figure out, the amount of leads that you guys should be generating, and also converting over into customers. Like Ken said, we've got show notes available, with a couple of those different tools, the infographic and the website traffic generator available. We will post everything at www.neongoldfish.com/podcast. Until next time, this is Ken and Justin with Neon Noise. Have a great day.